Recording in progress.
Hi everyone, Monique here, Intuitive Soul Savant. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new here. Great video today. Jupiter has ingressed into Gemini, and that is in the tropical zodiac chart. If you'd like me to give you a consultation, you can find my details down in the description box. So, guys, this is big time, and it's not just an ordinary Jupiter ingress into a sign. This is big because Jupiter has ingressed into Gemini and will be there until June 2025. And then in July 2025, in comes Uranus for the first ingress into Gemini. So it's almost like Jupiter is opening the gates for Uranus to ingress into Gemini. Now, this is also big news because the Gemini part of your chart has had no narky energy, right? It's only had, when I was born, right, the Gemini part of your chart had Pluto and Uranus squaring Gemini, okay? But a lot of you will be younger than me, but those who are older than me, you will have that. Your Gemini part of your chart will be squaring that Pluto conjunct Uranus. Now then Pluto, that Neptune beforehand went into Sagittarius. So the Gemini part of the chart only had an opposition from Neptune. And then Neptune is now in Pisces. So the Gemini part of the chart is having that square from Neptune. The other two outer planets, Pluto and Uranus, they went through Sagittarius and opposed the Gemini parts of the chart. And Uranus went into Pisces and squared the Gemini. But Gemini has not had any outer planets transiting through that part of the zodiac wheel. All right, so this is big news. Now, Gemini rules the mind, okay? Rules other things as well, but I like to think of it as our 3D mind. Mercury, right? Mercury rules Gemini, our 3D mind. The higher octave of Mercury is Uranus, our 4D mind. And then Neptune, our 5D mind, the dreamer, the manifester from the dream state. And I mean the awakened dream state, okay? Mastering the mind. Mastering the 3D mind is Neptune, right? A mastered mind is in Neptune's domain because then Neptune can, this is where we're heading, everybody. This is where the human being is expanding into expansion of consciousness, and then we can actually think and manifest, right? Okay, it's exciting, isn't it? But it seems too far-fetched for us at the moment. But this is where we're heading. All right, so Uranus will ingress in July 2025 and be there till 2032 before it dips its toe into Cancer. So this is big news. Uranus, the great awakener, chaos, change. All right, but let's get back to Jupiter. So think back to 2012, 2013. What were the energies around your life then? They'll be a little different now because so much has changed since then on planet, all right? So what does Gemini, the 3D Gemini, rule? Well, it rules communication. So A to B, it rules local travel, local transport, getting from A to B locally, all right? Now, Jupiter rules international travel. Gemini rules education, school-aged education, whereas Jupiter rules higher education, philosophy, higher thinking, The Gemini Mercury 3D is all about what's going on, what can I see, what can I feel, touch and taste and hear. All right. So Jupiter is expansion, big thinking. All right. So, you know, gossip, propaganda, social media, all of that comes under the banner of Gemini. And we could also say that it will come under the banner of Uranus when Uranus ingresses into Gemini. Okay, because Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, is the collective. And since the internet, okay, technology, right? Now, we're very fortunate that Pluto is in Aquarius because any, you know, with Jupiter, with Uranus, and then we're going to have Chiron and Saturn will all ingress into Gemini in the next 20 years. Okay, so we're very lucky to have Pluto in Aquarius because that's going to be a trine. Okay, so that's a good aspect, not a square. God help us if it would have been a square, but it's not. It's a trine. So for the next 20 odd years, all the business, all the happenings in Gemini is going to be trining Pluto. So whatever's happening in Gemini is for the Pluto will use Gemini as its minion to upgrade the collective, to expand the consciousness of humanity. And that's where we're headed. Now, there's two paths. We could end up robotic, or we could come back to the true nature of ourselves from a higher frequency, a higher perspective. All right. So social media is a Gemini thing, as is propaganda and gossip and fake news. Chinese whispers. Okay, so I'm telling, here's A, and A tells somebody at B, and then B tells somebody at C. That's Gemini, that butterfly, the honeybee jumping from flower to flower. Okay, that's very Gemini energy. The Gemini people are, you know, buzzing around the place, drop a bit of information there, drop a bit of information there. They don't stay around too long. They're too busy. The mind's busy. It's busy, busy, busy. They're the worst meditators, Geminis. Worst meditators, I'll tell you. Oh, I can't meditate. My mind thinks too much. Now, you may be a Gemini out there and be a great meditator, but I bet you've got some strong Pisces in your chart. All right. And maybe a bit of Sagittarius in there as well. So we really are going to have a shake-up, guys. There's going to be a shake-up. Firstly, with lies, because Jupiter rules the truth, okay? And with Jupiter in Gemini, it's going to be up to you. There's no big daddy that's going to come and say, they're lying, don't listen to them. They're telling the truth, you can listen to them. You've got to work this out for yourself, right? The collective is one, but we are all individuals. Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius, all individuals to make up the collective one. So it's an individual responsibility you have for your mind, okay? You're responsible for your mind. Now, until you start mastering the mind is just doing its thing. And you may be unconscious that it's doing its thing and not even catch the thoughts. You may have emotions and not know where they come from. Well, they've come from the thoughts. And that's why meditation is so fantastic, because it slows the mind down. Now, meditation will save your life. The mind, if it's been traumatized, wants to kill you. Right? It's in the mind that says, yes, I think I need to commit suicide, right? The mind decides. The emotions are so turned up, but it's the mind that decides, and the mind gets to a certain place, and once it gets to that certain place, you know, it can't go back, and that's, you know, successful suicides. Please, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, So, if you're having issues, you really do need professional help, all right? Just as a disclaimer. But I've been through this, so I'm speaking from experience, all right? Big mouths, Jupiter, big mouths. I'm not even going to say names, okay, because that would just be a personal opinion. But, lots of mouthing off with Jupiter and Gemini, and I'm thinking politicians, all right? Now, Mercury that rules Geminis, or also being known as the trickster. Okay, so we know that about Gemini. Gemini doesn't tell the truth because maybe Gemini heard differently. When Mercury is retrograde, the information gets skew if we don't hear what's being said, or we have to go back and redo something because our mind wasn't clear at that time, all right? So gossip, propaganda, chat, big mouths, social media, all right? Now Uranus is coming in to overhaul social media. I can't be on social media. There's no way that social media is going to have my mind scrolling and having a 1 minute attention span. God, no. There's no way I'm allowing that. I sit and meditate for an hour and have attention on my breath. I'm trying to backtrack from this busy mind. Okay. Now it's this mind that can give us mental health issues. So there could be an expansion. I'm just saying could. Right? We need to be careful, and especially with Uranus. Okay. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, 4D mind. And I know people that have worked in mental health wards, and, some of what the patients have said is rather off planet and quite believable in my mind. So we really need to be careful, right? It's our opportunity. The last frontiers of humanity is the mind and the oceans, water. We haven't gleaned our power yet, right? So the last frontier of humanity, the mind, mastering the mind so that we can use the mind to benefit ourselves. So if you've got caught up in scrolling, that was the intention. That was the intention of the powers that be, was to distract you that much that you couldn't step back into your authentic self. So can you see with what's going on planet at the moment, the news, can you see how where we're at as a collective? Thank God Pluto is going to be in Aquarius to transform the collective, but we have a choice. You have a choice. Every individual Aquarius has a choice to master their mind when Uranus ingresses into Gemini. Okay, so trade is another Gemini theme. Small community is another theme of Gemini. However, Jupiter is in conflict in Gemini. It's in conflict because it's the furthest away from its natural home in Sagittarius. No, so Jupiter's not strong in Gemini. Having Jupiter and Gemini in my birth chart in the 11th house, wow, I can think up all the goals and wishes, and I've always had lots of friend groups, different friend groups. That's how Jupiter and Gemini is manifested in my 11th house, but just thinking big and dreaming big and thinking and wanting to think and do everything as well, try everything, and it's probably not all possible in this lifetime for me to do that. So I understand the expansion of the mind and how the mind can take over the emotional body. And this is when we get into trouble, all right? So community, small community. Rick Levine, famous astrologer, his advice for the future is think globally, act locally. Okay, so you know, a lot of people with you know, the awakening of humanity, we're going to get back to our community living, okay, and rely on that more so than a world order. All right, so you know, our local community, connecting with our local community to communicate and be a part of. So trade, bartering, those sort of systems could all come into play, okay? Because with Pluto going through Capricorn, our systems are collapsing. Education system, political system, family systems, violence, trade. Okay, there's more and more and more. They're all collapsing. That you were told that they were going to collapse. I can actually see them collapsing now. Okay, and I had a client who's a teacher my age, and you know, she's really traumatized by the education department system at the moment because teachers are leaving. Okay, teachers are dropping off left, right, and center. That's a Gemini energy, school teachers. Okay, they're leaving the teaching industry. And as I said to her, you're holding up the structure. But why would you hold up a structure that's collapsing? Fear of income loss. Well, then we get back to who you're relying on. The systems of society, or do you have a higher power, right? A high life itself, or God, or whatever is your go-to. All right, so the systems won't collapse as long as people are trying to hold them up in all those departments, police departments, all of that Capricorn structured energy that we've had that isn't working. All right. Okay, so the community, there'll be more rallies and marches, you know, after Jupiter opens this door and Uranus steps into Gemini. You know, this has been predicted that the people are going to stand up and say they don't want this, they don't want that. We've already seen a touch of it, okay? So communities rallying together to say that structure's old, we don't want it anymore. That local structure. All right. Social media, very much a Gemini theme. Fake news, very much a Gemini theme, you know, because it comes under gossip and what have you. And it's not like these people, it's not like everybody, okay, is going out there to trickster Mercury, right? The trickster. Mercury is known as the trickster. Gemini can trick you. They can say one thing one time and then change their mind. You know, they're dual, okay? They're the twins. And they'll even joke with you, Geminis, what twin am I speaking out of today? Okay, so the Gemini energy can be trickster. So social media is our communication. It's up to you to judge what you're watching. Okay, how much attention span have you got? It's even been advised on YouTube, oh, people can only watch for 20 minutes. And then their mind needs a fix. You know, they've got to have a fix. It's not interesting them enough. So this will all come into play, and Jupiter is going to expand these Gemini themes so that when Uranus comes in, oh, we'll see. We will see. Now, truth-telling, very important. My First Nations people, you know, we call it truth-telling. And so Jupiter rules the truth. It'll be up to you to connect with your higher self to be able to discern what is truth and what is not truth. This is why it's so important to do the work. Start meditating. Slow that mind down so that it makes space for insight. And insight is intuition. Okay, I'm an intuitive soul, but it's taken me to slow down to have a quiet life. I'm not reaching out for people to fill space, okay? And in that space is insight and space for you to be able to discern what is truth for you or not, okay? And so Jupiter coming into Gemini is going to be expanding our awareness of these themes for Uranus to come in and just to flip social media into the air and down again. And it'll land wherever it lands. Okay. So on a personal level, Jupiter in Gemini could lead to overthinking. This is a great time to start meditating, especially with Neptune finishing up in Pisces. Right? Great time to start meditating and mastering the mind, the last frontier of humanity, the mind and the oceans, and gaining the power that we have on board already. But we've been too distracted. And, you know, propaganda's been around forever. Hitler's best mate, you know, the reason Hitler got into the power was because his best mate was so good at propaganda, marketing, right? So he gave all the people the information and had them all following Hitler. Propaganda, social media, fake news, all of that sort of thing. Okay, and it's up to the individual, Pluto in Aquarius, to take responsibility for that. It's nobody's fault anymore, okay? Whatever you're eating, feeding on, as far as communications go, you're responsible for that. Okay, you're responsible for that. And once you get clear of that energy, you can't go back to it. It's actually toxic. It actually makes you feel yucky in the stomach. Once you, detach yourself, release yourself, detox off social media. I mean, social media is important. There's a place for it. Yes, I agree. But you use it to benefit yourself. You don't use it as a drug, you know, to just zone out on and keep scrolling and scrolling, because what it does to your mind is very dangerous, very, very dangerous. And this information is out there scientifically, okay? This is not new. It's scientifically damaging to be scrolling, because your the mind is connected with the gut chemicals, where our trauma lies, second chakra, okay? It's all connected. And I don't want to get too deep here, but this is big times, peoples. This is big times. You know, Gemini, school education. Yeah. Overhaul, needing an overhaul for sure. Why? Because kids don't even go to school and they're running around with knives here in Australia. And it's just expanding. And it's getting to the point where, you know, small town that I live in, even, you've got to look over your shoulder coming home late of a night or what have you. Okay, it's gotten to that point now, which is very sad. Now, it took me, this is the third go to make this video. I feel like I was in a retrograde Mercury. It just blipped out on me a couple of times, so I hope I get through to the end. And I can't remember what I've said and what I haven't said, okay? So if I repeat myself, it's because this is the third go. So Mercury, 3D mind. The higher octave, Uranus, 4D mind. Neptune, 5D mind. So little Gemini there, the Gemini part of your house has not had any outer planets transit it in my lifetime. It's had oppositions when Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus transited Sagittarius years and years ago. And it's had a square from Neptune now, getting that square, okay? But that's it. So it's an overhaul of the Gemini part of the chart. And you Geminis, I don't want to frighten you, but the great awakener is on its way. You'll have a great life this 12 months, okay? So all Geminis out there, Jupiter is, you know, it brings good energy, expansiveness to your life. And we're all wanting to expand, you know, and you've got to watch your weight too. if Jupiter's making a trine to your natal sun, or conjuncting your natal sun, or sextiling your natal sun, like the good aspects, watch your weight, okay? Because where Jupiter goes, it expands everything, and it expands weight. I've been observing this for decades when Jupiter's gone into different signs. So if you're a weight watcher, or one day you notice you've got a couple of kilos, it'll be Jupiter, and you'll lose it, no worries, all right? Jupiter is different to Saturn. When Saturn ingresses into your sign, you will lose weight, all right? But Jupiter expands. Okay. Now, the Pluto-Uranus generation, Pluto conjunct Uranus in Virgo, right? Jupiter will be squaring your Uranus and Pluto, and Uranus will be squaring your Uranus and Pluto. Probably make a video about that, because I resonate with that and identify with that in my chart. Athletics is a good thing to take up this next year, because Jupiter is Jupiter rules Sag, fire sign, and athletics, exercise, all that stuff, it's all in the mind. Okay, we get out of bed and go, let's go to the gym, and the mind goes, no, let's give it a break today. And then there's a fight. That's what happens to me. But if I go regularly, Gemini energy, community, regular, daily, habit, I don't even think about it. I'm up and I'm gone. I master the mind by regularity, and but the mind is what will tell you not to go and exercise. So this is a great opportunity to start a health kick in a gym or a sport or something like that with Jupiter in Gemini. And that's for everybody, okay, because it's the mind, it's communications, it's community, right? So Gemini, community. So community groups may expand. You may become more interested in community matters, and that would be very, very good. Like Rick Levine says, think globally, act locally, and I love that, and I really understand that. Now, and the other reason why Jupiter could help you, Jupiter and Gemini can help you with your exercise and what have you, is it's just been in Taurus. And, Jupiter in Taurus would just expand the good life and eating good food and what have you. And when Jupiter was trining my natal sun at the end of Taurus, I've put on weight, I've put on kilos, so I'm like, oh my God, okay, use the mind to say no to the sweets. All right. I'm going to do a Jupiter around the zodiac for each house, because it's very important to know what house your Gemini area is, okay, because that's what's going to get expanded. All right, that's what will be expanded, is the theme of that house, but we're talking Gemini. All right. So I think I've gone on. I hope I've still got a few people that have got a concentration span of, more than 1 minute. But, guys, please, old souls, it's time. It's time for you to discern what you're consuming as far as social media goes. Who are you listening to? There's so much BS out there. It's hilarious. It's not, it doesn't even anger me. I think, really? You're believing that? But anyway, we're not here to criticize. I'm compassionate to people that haven't awakened, all right? But with Pluto ingressing into Aquarius as it is, and trining the Jupiter, and then trining the Uranus, they're working together to expand the consciousness of humanity. It's time. We have all incarnated here for this, for the structures to collapse, and for us and our energy. It's our energy that has a say. It's not us getting out there, oh, you should do this, we should do that, blah, blah, blah. It's not that, right? It's each individual taking responsibility, each community taking responsibility, each state, each country, what have you, taking responsibility for the larger scheme of the collective for the betterment of humanity. Okay, right, and I'll talk more about the technology when Uranus actually ingresses, which is next year. Okay, I'll have a better idea about it. But at the moment, I didn't jump out there and make the Jupiter and Gemini video. There's heaps of them out there, but don't think Jupiter and Gemini without thinking Uranus is coming afterwards, because whatever's going to be expanded, they're mates, Jupiter and Uranus. Whatever's going to be expanded is in mind when Uranus comes through. That protect your minds. Okay, this next year, really important. Protect them. It's everything. Okay, but it's everything but nothing. But as a human being, yes, the mind is very important. But when you meditate and you focus on the breath for an hour, you realize, oh my God, it's just a nutcase, the mind. You know, it just blah, 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 it just goes on and on and on. It says the most stupidest things, you know, but the majority of people are acting from their thoughts. And this is what's got to change. This is what's got to change. Okay, because that's reaction. So I think that's it. I've gone through it all. It's quite basic and easy. Communication, anything that's got to go from A to B in a smaller theme, okay, is going to be expanded because Jupiter is expansion. So thank you, everybody, and look out for the Jupiter through the houses video, because that will give you, you know, narrow down the themes for you guys, okay, through the houses. So I got through the video. So thank you, everybody. Namaste, and I'll see you all soon. We didn't have too many narky aspects this week, but anyway, I'll keep going because you may be watching this in 6 months' time. Who knows? All right, everybody. Love you all, and thank you. Bye.